I failed so many times, and I'm not afraid to say it anymore. I mean, I remember looking for an online job, getting out of high school, and saying to my mom that I don't have to go to college. I'll be able to make money online. I'll be able to do this and work for an influencer. And my mom looked at me like I was a retard. And she said, "You're going to be a failure if you don't go to college." Boy, did I fail. I mean, I would get rejected. I would get no's. I tried many different business models. Didn't work. I failed and failed and failed and failed. But lo and behold, now I make an income online that's helped my mom rent this beautiful apartment. I'm able to be independent and pay for my own things, and I'm fulfilled much more than I would have been if I had gone to college. And this is all to say that any person who you see that is successful, you'd think that they've become successful because they win so much, because they're lucky, because they're better than you. And that's really not the case. They're successful because they failed more times than you've ever tried. Think of that. Take the amount of times that you've tried at anything, any given goal, and then look at the leader in that space or a person that's become successful that you look up to, and think about how much they have failed, that they failed more times than you've even tried. You see, it's a game of statistics. You can say it's luck, and you can say it's genetics, or you can say it's skill, but it boils down to statistics. The more chances you get, the more opportunities you're going to show. And the more chances that you get and the more times you try, the more times you're going to fail. But the difference between people who succeed or people who stay mediocre is the fear of failure and the fear of rejection. Because the fact is that failure isn't really failure. To me, at least, failure is only if you don't learn anything. If you, quote unquote, fail at something, for lack of a better word, and you don't learn anything. And so it comes down to perspective, because for every person who's successful, when you fail at something, again, quote unquote, technically you've won because you've learned something from it and you know that you're not going to do it again. But somebody who fails with the wrong perspective, they just sit and pity themselves and say, "Oh, I'm a loser, I failed." And they stop thinking about what they could have learned from it. They just start degrading themselves and forming limiting beliefs. And so this pushes them further down. But for the people that have the other perspective and can learn from it, failure almost acts as a stepping stone to your goals. So there's something in sales that says, you want to become a good salesman? Get your first 100 no's. When you're starting off in sales, don't try to get 100 yeses. Don't try to convince everybody. Go and get your first 100 no's. That'll teach you more than anything. And it sounds stupid. It's like, what do you mean? I'm not going to make any money. But there's two things. It's twofold. Number one, if you go with the expectations that you'll get 100 no's, then it's okay if they say no. And you might get a yes. And number two, when you're wanting to get no's, obviously you don't do anything stupid to get a no, but when you're trying your best, but you know that you want to get no's, that's your goal, then you try without need for an outcome. And you know what gets formed from there? Discipline. And you know, a bonus point is that once you get used to being rejected, once you get used to failing, you're a machine because nothing can stop you. So think of yourself now. Think of your goals, whether it's making money online, whether it's getting good at a sport, whether it's talking to girls. Remember, people who are successful, winners, have failed more times than you've ever tried. So the next time you don't want to try because you feel like, oh, I'm going to fail at this, oh, I'm going to fail at that, think of it as a stepping stone. Think of it as, what's the worst that can happen? Because if I go there and I try, the worst that can happen is that I fail. But is it really failure if I learn? And the best that can happen is that I win. And on a long enough time frame, if I try and fail and try and fail and try and fail long enough and smart enough, then I will win. So, you have no more excuses to not do what you want to do out of failure. The only thing you have left to do is go get your first 100 no's. Good luck.